Liquid nitrogen always had an odd appeal. It was cold enough to freeze almost anything in seconds and dramatic enough to turn fruit into brittle glass. For years, the idea of making it personally stayed in the back of the mind, quietly waiting. After seeing several creators show how they made small batches at home, the curiosity grew stronger. In 2020, there was finally a chance to try it. A used cryocooler from a scientific video project was purchased, repaired, and coaxed into working again. It produced liquid air, which was mostly nitrogen and cold enough to feel like a small victory. Then, it was more than enough. Everything changed years later when new projects began forming, especially a long air-based series, where air would be transformed into fuels, chemicals, and even explosive mixtures. These ideas needed real amounts of liquid nitrogen, not the tiny portions that the old setup could provide. Buying a commercial generator was out of the question, because even the cheapest systems cost far more than anyone wanted to pay. That left one path: build a larger generator from scratch, even without any real experience working with cryogenic machinery. The idea felt unrealistic, but the challenge was too tempting to ignore. Once the decision had settled in, it became impossible to let go. The plan started forming after studying many small DIY builds, and every commercial design that could be found in photos or videos. 3 major components were needed. The first was a membrane nitrogen generator to separate nitrogen from normal air. The second was a powerful cryocooler that could liquefy that nitrogen. The third was a large vacuum-insulated dewar to hold a large volume of the finished liquid. Everything else, from hoses to valves, would serve mainly as connectors between these 3 main parts. Surprisingly, the membrane nitrogen generator was already available from the earlier cryocooler purchase. It had never been tested, but was likely valuable and useful. That meant the main focus shifted to finding a strong cryocooler and a big dewar. After a long search, a promising MRI cryocooler appeared for sale. It cost more than $5,000, but for its size and condition, that price was almost a bargain. When it arrived, heavy and tightly packed, it looked new and unused. That alone felt like a godsend. Next came the dewar. A huge 30-year-old helium-rated dewar was found online for just over $1,000. Normally, units like this could cost many times that amount. The low price raised doubts, since the seller offered no guarantees about its condition. Even so, the savings were too significant to ignore, so the purchase went through. It arrived in a massive crate that needed a hammer, patience, and careful lifting to open. Inside was a surprisingly intact dewar that seemed ready for testing. There was one last major component missing, and it turned out to be the hardest part to accept. The MRI cryocooler needed an external compressor. The smaller cryocooler purchased years earlier had one built into the body, so this requirement had been easy to overlook. A suitable compressor costs more than $10,000, pushing the entire project cost close to $17,000. For a moment, the idea of quitting felt appealing, because losing that amount of money if the parts didn't work would be painful. But giving up while expensive equipment sat unused felt even worse. The decision was made to continue. After days of hesitation, work began. A friend helped design a large stainless steel mounting plate. This plate would sit on top of the dewar, hold the cryocooler through a central opening, and provide additional ports for gas input, pressure relief, and a sight window. When the plate arrived from the machine shop, it looked beautiful at first glance, but quickly several issues were noticed. Important holes were the wrong size, missing threads, or not present at all. The rest of the day was spent drilling and tapping metal by hand. Removing broken taps took patience and a lot of force, but eventually the plate became usable. A simple welded frame was built to hold the cryocooler for testing without involving the dewar. Welding was almost a full-day struggle, but the frame turned out sturdy enough. The cryocooler was mounted to it, and attention shifted to the compressor, which needed several repairs before powering on. The odd front connector had to be replaced with a standard cable. The internal gas system needed to be refilled with high-purity helium at 200 psi. Rusted water fittings were replaced, and a heavy transformer was installed to provide the correct voltage. After everything was connected, the compressor finally started, which brought immense relief. The cryocooler was then tested. It still held pressure after many years, which was a good sign. After refreshing its helium supply, pre-charged helium hoses were connected from the compressor to the cryocooler. When the compressor switched on, the cryocooler emitted a deep cycling sound. Frost slowly formed around the cold tip, and later, small drops of liquid air appeared inside a small test dewar. This confirmed that the cryocooler was powerful enough to create liquid nitrogen. The dewar itself also needed testing. A vacuum pump was connected to the insulation space between the inner and outer chambers. The pressure dropped extremely low and stayed there after sealing the system. This meant the dewar was still well insulated and able to hold cryogenic liquids with minimal loss. With the main components working individually, the full assembly began. The temporary test frame was removed. The large dewar was carried into position and leveled. The inner chamber was cleaned, including removing a small dried lizard that had somehow traveled inside. A flexible printed gasket was placed on the opening, and the large steel plate was bolted on. The cryocooler mounting ring, safety valves, pressure gauge, nitrogen inlet, and a clear sight window were installed. A small strip of lights was lowered inside so the interior could be seen clearly. Then the heavy cryocooler was lifted by a ladder and carefully lowered into the central opening. Hoses and wires were reattached. The system was now physically complete. The nitrogen membrane system was set beside it. An air compressor pushed air into the membrane, where oxygen and water vapor escaped through the fiber walls, leaving concentrated nitrogen at the outlet. When the outlet was checked with a meter, it showed 0% oxygen, meaning the gas was effectively pure nitrogen. This gas line was connected to the dewar's inlet. To start the full test, nitrogen gas was allowed to fill the dewar and purge all remaining oxygen. The pressure inside was raised slightly above atmospheric pressure to prevent outside air from entering. Then the compressor was turned on. Hours passed without visible results, leading to rising worry. But eventually, small cold droplets formed on the cryocooler's cold tip and began falling inside. Later, a rain of liquid nitrogen formed, splashing against the warm bottom of the dewar and boiling rapidly. After the dewar cooled fully, a shallow pool of clear liquid nitrogen appeared. The production rate was about half a liter per hour during the first long run. This was already better than expected for a first attempt. Once a decent amount had been collected, the extraction system needed to be tested. The pressure inside the dewar was raised by a few psi, and the siphon valve was opened. At first, nothing happened. Then a hissing sound, and a thin stream of cold vapor escaped. Soon, a steady but gentle flow of liquid nitrogen appeared. It was not dramatic, but it worked, and a metal bowl was filled. An orange was dropped inside, frozen completely, and smashed into pieces for fun. All the remaining liquid nitrogen was transferred to a 30-liter storage dewar. The system worked, but several problems were clear. Production could be faster. The membrane generator was working near its limit, and the extraction flow was slow. The liquid also became cloudy during long runs, due to small amounts of oxygen and water slipping through the membrane when pushed too hard. To fix these issues, the system was partially rebuilt. A massive new nitrogen membrane unit was installed, capable of delivering several times more nitrogen at high purity. The arrangement of valves and ports on top of the dewar was improved. A new camera probe and bright light were added to record clear views inside the chamber. A larger siphon tube and higher flow extraction hose were added to improve transfer speed. With these changes, production reached over 1 liter per hour. The liquid nitrogen was crystal clear, with no haze. Over several days, almost 100 liters were collected and stored. The upgraded extraction system filled the same metal bowl in about 2 minutes instead of 12. The only remaining annoyance was a small vacuum leak that required keeping a pump running during operation, but this was manageable. In the end, the homemade generator produced more liquid nitrogen than the commercial systems that were once too expensive to buy. It could create large amounts, hold them safely, and provide all that was needed for future projects. It also moved another long-term goal closer: recreating a full superconductor levitation experiment using only homemade components. with liquid nitrogen now produced in-house. Only the magnet and the dish remained to be made, and work on those was already underway. Brilliant supported the project by offering interactive lessons that made learning complex topics easier. Short lesson segments helped with understanding complicated ideas step by step. A course on digital circuits proved especially useful. Brilliant offers free starting lessons and a discount for premium access, making it possible to learn a wide range of new subjects. Support from viewers and patrons continues to enable such projects. The completion of this generator marks a major step forward, and it opens the door to many new and ambitious projects ahead.